The holiday season is almost upon us, and Birmingham Village Players are ready to ring in the season with an evening with Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol, a special fundraising event. Today we're speaking with director and writer Joseph Vercellone and star of the one-man show, Edmond Guay. Thank you so much for being here, you two. How are you two doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Yep. Thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Absolutely. We are so excited. This sounds like such a cool opportunity, both for the theater itself and also for anybody who's looking to kind of ring in the holiday season. And Joe, I'm just going to start right off with you because this is kind of your brainchild. Where did the idea of an evening with Charles Dickens come from?
Well, I shouldn't take credit for Charles Dickens' work, so let's just say it was Charles Dickens' brainchild. Well, it started off a year ago as we started looking at ways that we could do fundraisers for Village Players. We've been doing a pretty significant amount of improvements to the facility. Behind us in the dark are all new fixed seats that we put in this year. We've paved the parking lot and regraded the parking lot. So there was a pretty significant amount of capital outlay for the amount of improvements that we made to the facility, and we thought we really need to do something special to refill the coffers of the Playhouse. So we had a number of conversations regarding what can we do, and I started thinking about taking a story that was in the public domain, something that was over 100 years old, that would still be of interest to people to come in and see on our stage. And honestly, Christmas Carol has been one of my favorite stories since growing up, and my sons and we watch probably 3 or 4 versions of it every year, whether it's the Muppets or Patrick Stewart or George C. Scott.
Mr. Magoo.
Well, I haven't. Yeah,
that was my first exposure.
So I thought it'd be really nice to do our own version of A Christmas Carol. And because there are other productions in the region that do the full Christmas Carol with 20 plus people on the stage, we wanted to set ourselves apart from them and be something unique. So it came into my crazy mind, why don't we find some actor who's crazy enough to try to do a one-man version of this show and have him portray Charles Dickens touring the United States in the 1860s, doing public readings of A Christmas Carol. And that was the impetus for deciding to adapt Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol to our own uses.
What I love about this is that I recently saw a production of Mark Twain Tonight, which toured here, and it was kind of where the person is Mark Twain on stage, and it was such a unique way of telling an important part or important story of history. And so for this, I can only imagine what it does for A Christmas Carol to have what is essentially Charles Dickens up on stage doing it.
And that's the way how it's set up. It's set up as if Charles Dickens is touring the United States. He greets everyone who is in the audience from the United States, and then begins to tell the story, embodying all the different characters within the show. And it's a ton of fun.
Edmund, what was kind of going through your head when you heard this? Because I mean, this is kind of a big undertaking.
I was totally pumped. I was totally pumped. Joe reached out to a lot of us in the Village Players family and said, "Hey, this is what we're doing. Would you be interested in doing something like this?" And I jumped all over this. I thought this would be really cool. I've never done this before, something like this. I mean, for 42 years, I was a teacher of theater and speech and English, and now I get, since retirement, I get a chance to do everything that I've always taught and talk about putting your money where your mouth is, about preparation and characterization and discipline and, being able to really embody all the different things that an actor loves to do: create character, reach the audience, really deliver that element of diction and storytelling and empathy toward the audience. It's like the greatest challenge for anyone who's on stage. So I jumped at it, and this guy here trusts me with it, and we're having a very good time developing it. And I'm learning a lot myself. The roles are reversed. I get notes every rehearsal, and I go back and I study a little bit more. So it's kind of making me empathetic with all of the students that I taught for many, many decades.
We didn't want this to be somebody on stage just sitting and reading from the book. Charles Dickens takes on the personality of over 24 plus different characters. Ed brings all these little voices and physical nuances to differentiate which characters he's portraying as Charles Dickens. And to see him on stage moving around, expressing the joy, the fear, the bitterness, the change in nature that Scrooge goes through from the beginning to the end. That's, I think, the real appeal of seeing this production.
I can, I've seen Ed in quite a few different shows recently, and I can only, there's only one person I can imagine pulling this off with such ease of all the different characters and switching between them and stuff. And so I can only imagine the magic that's happening on stage right now as you guys are developing this.
He does an incredible bell.
We don't mean the swinging bell. We mean, Scrooge's love interest from years beyond,
For sure.
You'll fall in love again.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's
That's
just
the
fun.
magic.
It's just fun because, to be able to create all these different characters and do all these different dialects and change the voice and physicalize so many different characters. It's just a great, fun challenge. And I'm having a wonderful time doing it. And above all, despite the fact that we're rehearsing a lot, I'm not bored with the material yet. So Charles Dickens did a good job creating the story, and he's done a pretty good job adapting it.
If you take A Christmas Carol and just read it as is, it would probably be a 5.5, 6 hour production. So
Sure.
you really have to work with the original text to convert it to something that's an incredible reading material, to something that would be an incredible performing material. So you have to really be very judicious in your edits and decide what's required, what is going to convey the mood, the atmosphere, the character arcs, and then what can be eliminated to try to trim this down into something that's more like a 90-minute production.
And speaking of that process, because you mentioned that you watch about 4 of different productions of this a year. You also wrote this with your son, correct?
Yes, yeah. Philip is my middle child. He's currently in New York at NYU getting his master's in publishing. And I approached him to say, would you like to work with me on this to edit down the original text and try to help me make a very clear, concise, and compelling version of this tale? So he and I went through the text multiple times, making multiple edits to time ourselves and see where we came in. So that was a joy to work with my son and have that opportunity to collaborate with him on this project, and hopefully that's something that we can do also in the future for our next adaptation.
Yes, the brothers
so this
Paramount in 90 minutes.
I was going to say, this could become a whole series, a whole series of adaptations.
Yeah, next year we're doing Tolstoy. We're going to do war first and then peace.
And then peace, yes.
Oh. Is there each one still going to be in like part 1 and part 2? Because I feel like that's still those are some dense works. But what a cool process to be able to bring this, to adapt it, to bring it to life with your son, because that really does kind of carry on the family tradition of what a Christmas Carol has kind of become for you.
Yes,
definitely. I appreciate that chance to do something with him and carry on that family family tradition that Charles Dickens established in the Christmas Carol.
So, Ed, with all these different characters, how are you kind of finding, like, it sounds like you have a uniqueness to all of these different people. What is that process like for you to develop each one as you're going along? Because 25-ish characters is quite a lot to kind of spread out there.
And it is. But what's really interesting is, it's such an iconic story with such a legacy of awareness. It's like we were talking about this. It's, what have we edited out? What have we included, et cetera? But I think we have to believe that most of the people who will be walking into the theater know the story.
Sure.
So, to be, we're not depending on that. But I think because of that and the setup being Charles Dickens walks onto the stage, welcomes everybody, but then begins to embody the characters. It's a little easier to be able to go from character to character to character, whether it's a male or a female character. When we get into the ghosts, that's when it gets into a lot of fun. Jacob Marley, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas future, who doesn't speak at all. It's just a giant finger, and the ghost of Christmas present. So I simply asked Joe, I said, how far do you want me to go with these? And he said, keep going, experiment with different dialects, with different vocal qualities, the old people, the young people, et cetera. Like, what is it that, what can we do to just differentiate enough? And then with a background in forensics as well, teaching students forensics, it gets to the point where sometimes it's just a matter of finding a different focal point on stage to indicate, one character looking this way, one character looking this way. And by adding just a little bit of nuance to the voice, a little change to the voice,
Sure.
It's easy to create these characters. It's still a challenge. And with the writing, it's very clear. The adaptation has been refined so much that it's very easy to see where the characters are going with everyone. So it's been a lot of fun, but a ton of a challenge to be able to do it. I'm enjoying it.
And not even just like, it's not even like your like presentation of these characters, but it's like your presentation of Charles Dickens presenting these characters, like getting
Correct.
that frame
So it's
story.
like 3 different levels of, character happening at the same time.
Joe, what did that ever get like when you're developing it, when you're making it more concise, you're developing this voice through Charles Dickens, what seemed really important to highlight? Was it Charles Dickens kind of himself, the author, or was it the work, or is it the pieces of it together?
Well, I think most people make this emotional connection with the story and the text itself. I think Charles Dickens is the unique vehicle for telling the story, something that people would be interested in seeing. Oh, that's kind of unique. Charles Dickens doing a public reading, it's something different. And the one-man show aspect of it is something that I don't see very often. So let's go and see it. But it's the emotional impact of the story that I think keeps bringing people back to watching it every year. Why else do we watch a movie every single year, for decades? Why do we watch It's a Wonderful Life? Why do we watch A Christmas Story? Why do we watch A Christmas Carol? It's because it touches us at that deep emotional level, and that's what we want to get from this. We don't want to come to this and just see a boring grandpa sitting on the couch telling us a Christmas carol. They want to see the full story with the full emotion, the full character arcs, the full development of the people who are being portrayed on the stage. They want to see the whole thing, but just being done by one person.
I mean, but there's some of us coming for that grandpa on the stage.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, but truly, I get what you're saying. It's kind of, the idea of Christmas and the holiday season truly is about like tapping into the nostalgia of just like what brings people back. I mean, you're right. There's movies that we all turn back to. We're already, my family's already counting down how many days until we're watching our Christmas favorites. And so that's what you're really kind of tapping into. What people are going to be drawn to is the unique perspective of this story that they know and love.
One of the interesting things that I think is tied to A Christmas Carol is that if you look at various productions, they all pick and choose how to adapt the original story. So you watch, you watch A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott, and there's things in that movie that aren't in the Alistair Sim version, or the Muppet version, or the Jim Carrey version. And sometimes you get into a mode of of looking like, why I like this in this movie and I like this other thing in the other movie, and why did they cut this, and getting upset at various versions for not having that one piece of the story that you loved that was in the George C. Scott. Why isn't that in the Muppet Carol version, or why isn't that in the Patrick Stewart version? So I think you could see this story 5 times and come away with 5 different experiences just based on the various adaptations that you end up seeing.
I agree. I've seen a few productions of the Meadowbrook version, and even their versions differ from year to year depending on
Yep.
what's being highlighted. Or, I grew up on the Mickey Mouse version, which is, that's like the kid friendly version. And
Forgot
you
about
grow
that.
up and
That's
about
very
that
that's a classic, but but when you grow up, there's other versions. Like I just saw one recently that's like a haunted version of it, like a scary movie version of it. And there's just so many different ways, you're right, to highlight what it depends on what you want to take away from it.
And they're coming out with a series now. I forget which streaming platform it's on, but it's what happens to Scrooge and the Cratchit family after Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's very interesting. So for your version, what lens did you want to highlight that through? Is there like, which pieces did you really feel like were important to, like, this is what we want to show in the story, or even like themes that you wanted to make sure that you were highlighting in your production of it?
Well, I think Ed has come to know very well that Charles Dickens loves lists.
Oh, he sure does.
He's
It's
descriptive.
like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
All these different elements of, there could be a monologue, but then, there's a description that involves this and this and this and this and this. And, so it's really cool that with the words, we paint the picture that's not on stage. And that the content of what Joe has included allows the audience then to frame it all out with their own interpretation of the visuals that Scrooge or the narrator or any of the other characters highlights. So that's always a lot of fun. But those key points of the setup with Scrooge and Bob Cratchit, and how he feels about Christmas. Obviously, the visit of all four of the ghosts, Jacob Marley and the three spirits. And then, of course, we see these tangents of Bob Cratchit's family and Scrooge's nephew and some of the townspeople. And we see where they go before, during, and after as well. So the core story is very much intact here. I don't think anybody will be surprised about what they see. I don't think they're going to miss what's not there, because I don't think we want to keep them here for 6 hours. But
and we didn't rewrite Charles Dickens.
No.
Everything that
Right.
says on stage is
from the book.
Is from the book. Maybe an occasional he said or she said put in, just so that you have a frame of reference with a single actor. But these are the words that people have fallen in love with over the last 150 plus years. So it's Charles Dickens' voice that is being conveyed on stage.
Well, then one final question for both of you before I let you go is just, what are you hoping audiences take away from this production? It sounds like we're hitting the nostalgia, we're hitting the Christmas spirit, but like, what are you hoping that they walk away from this experience with?
Well, I'm hoping that, for me at least, as an actor who's trying to communicate the material that was originally written by Charles Dickens, is the essence of what this story is about, which is a character arc to redemption. And that maybe, just maybe, we can take, while watching something on stage, we can then come around and internalize it and think, oh, wait a minute, have I been treating everyone around me with love and respect and tolerance? And hopefully on the practical side, it's like, wow, Village Players in Birmingham does some wonderfully experimental stuff. I'll come back and see more stuff that they do.
That's an excellent point. And I echo that as far as turning that inward and thinking about what the story means to ourselves in in times that can be difficult and stressful for those who might be in our audience. And I hope that people leave also saying, I've been surprised by this. I was expecting to see something that was kitschy or cloy, and I came away being really touched and I had an emotional reaction to Scrooge's transformation. And by the end, hopefully there's a few tears that some of the audience might be shedding at the experience. So that's what I'm hoping, that we wow them with the powerful performance and the power behind the words.
Hopefully powerful.
And not only that, I do want to just re-highlight that this is a fundraiser. So like, all the money is going back to continue investing in this beautiful theater. And it's
Don't have to
also
pay Charles Dickens a single penny.
Yes.
And not only that too, though, but you're also, one of the things I love about many of the local theaters around here, but Birmingham Village Players specifically too, is that you're making it accessible for everybody. Like, these tickets are affordable. You know, they're $30, correct? $30.
Yes, and that
Okay.
includes the processing fee.
Right.
So that's really good, because like this is a story that so many people are going to want to see, and
Well, we
theater
hope
itself. No, they're going to. We all know it. But theater sometimes isn't always accessible. So this is something that's benefiting the theater. It's benefiting people. It's building that community. So that's really it's great all around to have such a fundraiser such as this.
Thank you for saying that so eloquently.
Yes. Can we include that in posters? Hey, Box Seat Babe says this.
You
sure,
might
absolutely.
audition for this next year.
Yeah.
If only I could act. But thank you so much, both of you, for being here. It was such a pleasure talking with you, and I'm super excited that hopefully people get out and see the show.
Thank you.
We
I
hope so
hope to
too.
see
Thank
you as well.
Yes.
So, An Evening with Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol arrives at Birmingham Village Players December 4th and runs through the 7th. So get your tickets now, and we'll see you there.
Thank you.
Awesome.